What is going on, everybody? This is Jackson from Dinger Dudes, and today I am joined by MLB veteran, recently retired pitcher Dominic Leone. Mr. Leone, how's your day going? And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join this interview.
Hey man, day's going good. Just busy at home stuff, full time retirement stuff. But really enjoying it and glad to be on the podcast.
I'm glad you're on the podcast too. So I want to get into my first question. After being undrafted out of high school, you enrolled at clearly Clemson University. The Tigers happened to turn to you in a game which they faced postseason elimination, and you happened to carry them and secure the win to go to the 2010 College World Series. I guess for this question, can you describe how you felt in that moment, especially with being a true freshman, being put in that situation?
Sure. That was definitely one of the best moments of my entire baseball career. Just to know how much was on the line and the pressure that was on, but yet again, Coach Leggett and all my teammates and stuff showing so much support and giving me the ball in that situation. I knew I had to rise to the occasion, and so all the practice and prep and grind up to that point, really. Um, had to pay off. And so, I did everything I could, put us in a good situation. The offense, rolled that game. And, it's just one of those really special times and kind of career defining moments for me.
That's great to hear. Now, before that game, I guess I wanted to do a little side question. This is related to my second question. But did you do anything as like a pregame ritual that you had before in your college days that helped prep you for that moment?
Um, I had a couple, just little quirks here and there, nothing like crazy, but I'd always listen to like the same music or,
Mm.
eat the same pregame meal and
Mm.
kind of just, lock in and focus the same way for every start. And for that game in particular, like, yeah, I did a lot of like the stressing and over analyzing of things the night before, and I didn't get a whole lot of sleep. But when I got to the park and just was around everybody, I started to calm down and just remember that it is a game, and
Mm.
just wanted to go out and compete, give everything I had.
Again, trust me, I wish I was being able to. I wish I continued my baseball career after high school.
Yeah.
I wasn't good enough to play in college, but I can only dream of such things as those. Guess relating to my second question, continuing with your college career, during the slower season, relating to your junior year, you is this correct? You taught yourself to throw a cutter by watching Mariano Rivera videos. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, it is. So with the help of my pitching coach Dan Pepicelli, we were kind of looking for something. It was kind of towards the end of the season. We were looking for something that I could bring into potentially a senior season, or if I got drafted into pro ball. And you know, I grew up in the Northeast, so I watched a lot of Red Sox Yankees games as a kid, and I thought, well, the cut fastball seemed to be something that's relatively easy, or looks like it's easy to develop. And so that's what we did. I just started to I got on YouTube. I started to just watch anything that I could find where, it was Mariano's grip or how he threw the ball or how he attacked hitters with it. And then I would just go take it out to practice, and I would just start ripping it at my catch partner. I feel bad because I threw a lot of bad ones before I started throwing any good ones. Um, but that's just kind of how it started, and that's kind of how the ball got rolling there. And I just kind of stuck with it. And as I went through my pro career, I just kept getting better and better.
How long did it take you to develop that cutter? How long did it take you to learn and fully, I guess, grasp control of it?
I mean, I don't think I ever, really mastered it to a
Mhm.
degree, but I mean, I got it to a point where it was really good. I mean, that took years, just because it's a lot of trial and error. Now, like um, you know, the initial snowball effect of throwing it and throwing it a lot and having success was really probably a couple months later. I started to do it. I got drafted obviously that summer, and I started to throw it when I went to short season with the Mariners. And I found that I had a lot of success with it early. Guys weren't expecting it, and I gained a lot of confidence in it just from that, and really, it's always been a work in progress. But again, I really refined it probably a couple months later after I had started the initial research on it.
Well, that's a great thing to hear, and clearly you refined it enough to be selected, relating to my next question, to be selected in the 16th round in 2012, making your minor league debut with the low 18 short season. Was there any like wake-up call moments during these minor league seasons when it came to transitioning from college ball to pro ball?
I think the biggest difference is you just see how talented everybody is, and you understand that you're now in a larger pool of guys that are, top draft picks, or have incredible talent, or physically just more dominant than other guys. And just being in that environment, you're like, oh man, I really have to, put my nose down and grind and find ways to, get an edge. And it was a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's why you do it. That's why you play the high level sports and compete. You want to be with the best. And so, again, Clemson was a great experience for that, where you're in a D1 program, you're playing in the ACC. It's really, really high level baseball, really good athletes, and then a lot of those guys ended up, back, in those lower levels of pro ball with me. And then on top of that, you get the international kids, and it's just it's a really fun experience to, like I said, challenge yourself, and then dive into that pool of just really talented baseball players, and ultimately come out on top.
Well, clearly you did have an edge with some of these experienced baseball players heading from Clemson and international guys because you rose through the minors very quickly, making
Mhm.
your debut with the Mariners in 2014. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
You were in the bullpen with veteran presences like Tom Wilhelmson, Danny Farquhar, and Charlie Furbush. When being brought up, did you receive any advice from those guys or any others around your team on performing at the major league level?
You know, it was a learning curve and a learning process each and every day. I was lucky enough that year to spend spring training, big league spring training with the team, and really I developed those relationships early on. The guys in the bullpen were awesome. It was such a
Mhm.
laid back group, and a lot of fun. They had a lot of different personalities, but we all meshed really well. And I was lucky. I kind of slid right in there, and kind of made a name for myself. And so each and every day, though, when I made the team and made my debut, it was a learning process. You learned what to do, what you can't do, where to be, what time you need to be there. And having those experienced guys down there with me really, I think, helped catapult me to the longevity of my career. Because as I've gotten older and I've tried to pass along the lessons and things that those guys taught me, I just see that, I remember so many guys that had so much talent, but might have been misguided, or um, kind of fell off the wagon in a way, and their careers were a lot shorter. And again, not for a lack of talent, but just for I was truly blessed, and had a great opportunity to be around some really good people early on in my career, and then obviously throughout my career.
It's a good thing to hear that, and it's being very well said that I guess Major League baseball is one of the hardest sports to go pro in because very little out of the guys who are drafted or going into college ball, pro ball, make the majors. And
Right.
I guess I wanted to ask you after your 8-2 record with the Mariners in that 2014 season, you happened to be after being first traded by Seattle. I know you played for several amount of teams throughout your career. How
Mm-hmm.
has adapting to different organizations shaped you as a player?
Oh, I mean, it pretty much defined my career.
Mhm.
12 professional seasons and 10 organizations. So
Mhm.
yeah, I kind of got used to moving. But, honestly, for me, it helped me develop a lot of relationships.
Mhm.
I still have a lot of friends within the game, a lot of friends that are now in front offices and on coaching staffs. And um, I think that, to be said, is one of the best things for me. Yes, the travel was hard, and the change, every year or every other year, it seemed, was tough, especially as I started to, grow my family and things like that. But ultimately, I wouldn't trade it for the world, because now I have so many resources and people to reach out to and talk baseball with, and um, that's you can't say that for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people haven't bounced around as much, and I know even guys I've talked to that have been with one or two organizations throughout their whole career. Yes, it's nice, the stability is there, but when things do happen, when they get traded or when you get moved, and that type of stuff, it's hard. I mean, it's a grind. But to have a lot of those good people to fall back on is key.
It's great to hear that. I know a lot of people say it's not about the destination and it's about the experience and the journey. And I know that you are a great and prime example of that. But I did want to ask, I guess throughout your different organizations and you had a lot of time to travel with these different teams. Were
Mm-hmm.
there any like favorite this kind of a fun question. Were there any like favorite food spots that you had with these different teams that y'all would go out to eat at? Because I've heard a lot of great food spots from different previous interviews that are hidden gems.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, like, I was a big foodie myself. I like to, go out and have some good dinners with the guys,
Mhm.
and you know, it's hard to put my finger on one place, because really, with all of the places I've been, um, there's a laundry list of awesome food all around the country. I mean, the Seattle area was honestly some of the best seafood you can get anywhere in the world. The sushi and all that stuff up there is fantastic. Hey, toasted wraps in St. Louis, you can't go
Ooh.
wrong. You can't go wrong
Ooh.
with those, right? The Italian section in St. Louis is very
Oh.
underrated. The Hill and that area is awesome. We love to go travel out that way. Playing in Chicago. Chicago has a ton of really good restaurants and steakhouses, and New York. I mean, I could just go down the list. I laugh because I did an interview probably a couple of weeks ago, and I got another question like this. And the one place I did mention was Milwaukee is sneaky good. It's a sneaky good food town, and the steakhouse right behind the um, team hotel was called Carnivore Steakhouse, and they are phenomenal. One of the best steaks I've had, and one of the best kind of vibes and atmospheres that you could ask for.
Trust me, I know a lot about steak. I'm currently located in Georgia. I moved down here a couple years ago, and
There
you
you go.
can't you can't get good pizza. You can't get good any Italian seafood sushi down here in Georgia. But one thing you can get is barbecue and steak.
That's
And
right. Yep.
yeah, I guess I wanted to. Well, this is related to the last question, but you've talked about playing with different organizations, and you've had some great seasons. For example, 2017 with the Toronto Blue Jays. What do you think made that year so successful for you?
It was definitely a bounce back year for me. I kind of had a tough run when I got traded from Seattle, and
Mm.
I had a tough run in Arizona. And so when I got DFA'd by the Diamondbacks, I was really kind of looking to start fresh. And Toronto being an East Coast team, I'm an East Coast guy. Like, it felt much better. I felt looser. And I went in, I had to kind of reprove myself,
Mm.
prove that 2014 for me with the Mariners wasn't just a fluke. Um, so I went in really motivated. Again, really good organization. Those guys were awesome. They took care of me. The training staff, the strength staff, they really knew what they were talking about, and they got my body right and back to where it needed to be from a health standpoint. And then the pitching guys and all my teammates there again just helped me kind of dial in and lock in. And we didn't have the best overall team season, but
Mhm.
I know our bullpen pitched really well, especially down the stretch. And we just kind of we had good chemistry, we had good vibes down there, and just something, one of the cooler places to play in all of baseball, and so it just was just an overall fun experience.
It's a good thing to hear that because me and the other guys here at Dinger Dudes, we've been planning a trip to actually this summer. We've been planning a trip to Toronto to go to a Rogers Center game.
You have to.
Because yeah, these other guys, they're graduating college, and I wanted to do one final trip with them before, they move on to their lives outside of college. And Toronto is a place that we've been discussing,
Yeah,
and I hope to make it up there. And I know
I'd
you
highly
said,
recommend it.
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna convince them. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I know you talked about, some rougher seasons with Diamondbacks and with this Toronto Blue Jays team. Relating to my next question, you pitched for both contending teams, pitching in the playoffs for the San Francisco Giants in recent years and rebuilding teams. How does clubhouse atmosphere between the two differ?
Boy, it's definitely a lot much easier, to be having fun and to enjoy
Mhm.
everything when you're winning.
Mhm.
Um, winning kind of solves everything. But I have to say, even in those tough years and in those tough seasons, I've always been lucky to have good clubhouses, good clubhouse vibes. I don't ever remember a time or a team or an organization where it felt like it was awful to go into the clubhouse. Believe it or not, even this last season with the White Sox, I know they had a we had a historically bad season, but
Yeah.
I got to give everybody in that clubhouse credit because we fought,
Yeah.
as one unit, and we showed the ballpark and tried to have fun as much as we could, and really just make every day, try and find a positive ever out of every day. Um, but like I said, when you're winning, like that 2021 Giants year for us, we showed up the park, and we already knew we were going to win. That confidence is just it's electric. It just kind of flows through everybody, and like winning makes it all easier.
And again, you always have to have a winning mentality, even in the darkest days.
Mhm.
For example, you said with that last previous season. And I guess kind of relating to my next question before I get into some fun questions I have down here for you. Uh, as a relief pitcher, you come into pro ball in 2012, and I know there's a lot of things that have changed with the pitching game and specifically with relievers. Was there anything that's evolved with relief pitching that you kind of noticed throughout your pro career or even when you were in college ball coming into 2012 into this recent year?
Yeah, a lot has changed. Breaking in into pro ball in 2012, and then making my debut in 2014, that was still kind of like the old school way of pitching. You had your guys that that threw hard, but you didn't see the type of velocities that you're seeing consistently now, in 2024, 2025.
Mhm.
There was definitely that whole era. There was the changing of the balls era, that pack of years there, and it's amazing to see how not just relief pitching, but pitching in general, has changed. Just how guys
Mhm.
attack hitters. Like two seamers and sinkers died a couple of years ago, and now all of a sudden they're back. And
Mhm.
four seamers with carry kind of died. And now they're back, and splitters are back, and curveballs are back. I mean, like there's just there's these ebbs and flows of pitching that I saw throughout my career. Like I said, that one of the biggest, and this isn't even including the pitch clock and the
Yeah.
three runner rule and the three batter rule. I mean, but the biggest thing is just the velocities and how strong everyone's gotten. Back in 2014, we had guys throwing in the upper 90s and mid 90s, but that wasn't as common as today, where it seems like every guy from the fifth inning on is throwing upwards of 95 plus and close to 100. That's just, I don't know how these hitters do it, but like I said, it's that was probably the biggest change I noticed.
Trust me, I've seen the change when watching MLB. Like you see guys like Hunter Green, Paul Skeens throwing like 100 miles per hour, and people start to get worried when it comes to pitch count and like injuries and stuff. You've seen a lot of recency with you saw last season with Strider and Bieber all getting torn, having to have Tommy John surgery. So
Hmm.
we see a lot of changes in this game. Again, I I don't really know how to feel about the pitch clock. How was it playing? How was it playing with the pitch clock last season?
You
Like,
know,
what were your stance?
yeah, like everything, you get used to it. But initially, it's tough. I mean,
Mm,
pitching can be so much of an art as well, where
yeah.
you've got to think. You've got to change pace, and you've got to change tempo and keep hitters off balance. And with the clock in place, sometimes you can't do that. Sometimes you don't
Mm,
have time to hold the ball as long as you want to, or you got to move faster. Down the mound, you got to slide step or do things quicker that way. You have to be more adamant about the running game because you know not only you can see the clock, but everyone can see the clock. So if you got base runners on, they can see and time you up. And okay, 3, 2, he's either got to throw to home or go, and I'm just going to take off. And so it 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 altered a lot of different aspects of pitching. I don't. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a fan of it.
yeah.
I understand it's part of the rules now, and it is what it is. So you get used to it, you adapt. But I do think it hinders the pitcher's ability to really manipulate timing and tempo like they once used to.
Now, I did want to ask, well, another question related to the rule change. We had a previous interview, a couple interviews ago, with a minor league pitcher here on Dinger Dudes, and we talked to him about the challenging rule where pitchers can challenge and tap your head for challenging a ball or strike,
Hmm.
and all these automated system changes. Would you be a fan and be opposed to that in the major league where a pitcher can challenge and kind of do like an NFL football type thing, challenge a ball or strike?
You know, I witnessed it myself. I had some outings in AAA the last couple of years where they had established the ABS system, and
Mm,
um, again, I think it has its benefits, but at the same time, now you're taking out the human element from the umpires, and
yeah.
and for as many calls as people think they miss, they definitely get you get some calls as pitchers sometimes too, and that's just the human element. With the ABS system, yes, it can be more accurate, but it takes a lot more time. Now you're challenging. I don't know how they would do all the challenge rules and things of such in MLB games, but really in the big moments, I mean, that's why you have umpires, anyways, right? They got to make a call, and with on-field replay, that's one way that we help, make sure we get things right. And um, I don't know, balls and strikes to me is a tough one. I
Yeah.
definitely get that there have been some bad calls and some brutal calls over the years, and you hate for those to especially impact the ending of games or impact games in general. But um, it kind of is what it is. He's I would lean more towards, instead of the robot system or like the ABS. I'd lean towards just focusing on umpire training and discretion of what a defined strike zone is, and things of that nature. Not to say that those guys aren't good. I mean, they certainly are. They're the best of the best for a reason. But just maybe like a refresher and a reminder of every year of what the strike zone looks like, what it is, and it's going to vary umpire to umpire. But you know, I think that's the purest form of baseball you're going to get. When you start to add all these external factors, it starts to get away from the true beauty of the game.
Completely agree. I would rather stick with human umpires, and the rest of these guys on Dinger Dudes agree. It just takes away from the game you truly love. But I guess only time will tell when it comes to these systems and these new changing of rules. But I did want to get into some fun questions before we wrap up this interview. Do you have a favorite moment or a game from your career, rather it be college, minors, or majors?
Oh man. There's a couple. Well, there's one really that pops into my head. Um, for me, you brought up the Alabama Clemson game, super regional. That's probably my favorite game from my college years. Um, I think from my pro years, again, I had a lot of really fun experiences and games, but your debut always sticks out. Um, I was at the Mariners and we were playing the Oakland Athletics, and um, you know that was obviously always going to be special. I think for me, 2021 with the Giants, being the guy on the mound for the final out, clinching the division, after just a long, hard fought battle with the Dodgers that year.
Mhm.
Um, that was probably my best shining moment, I should say, just because of the magnitude of it and what it meant to the team and to the city, and um, being able to get the final Buster hug of his career.
Mhm.
That's something that's cool for me, and I would have to pinpoint probably that one is my favorite.
This sounds like some great moments. Only I can dream of when it comes to playing maybe a video game of this, like MLB The Show. Maybe lead my team to the postseason or road to the show.
There you go.
We'll see what happens. Only I can dream of. But I guess
Nice.
over the next question I have that's a little fun. You know, you had a 12-year major league career. You had some years in the minors, the college. Who's the toughest hitter that you have ever faced as a pitcher?
Oh, man, it's so hard because I'm gonna leave out so many good hitters, but
Um,
um, I think back to like guys that I've faced. I mean, I faced I got to face Albert Pujols, I got to face Shohei, I got to face
mm,
Trout, I got to face Robbie Cano, and I mean there's a laundry list of every guy on the Dodgers right now. I mean, like, you face so many guys over the course of your career. Um, I would have to say obviously Trout is probably up there as one of the toughest. Um, the one who I really wish I got out, and I'm pretty sure I didn't. I think I only faced him once. Was I got to face Derek Jeter in his last year. Um, so I'll give this to Jeter. Overall, I think like Trout and Otani, really, really, really talented guys, unbelievable. But for me, being a young kid getting to face Derek Jeter, he did his classic, inside out swing, hit a single
mm.
to right, and I was like, man, dang, like that's one I wanted to solidify and get him out, but never did.
I mean, getting to face Jeter in general just has to be surreal, I
Yeah.
guess, because you have a guy who's like one of the greatest shortstops of all time, and when you're on that mound, and a guy who's like a career like 300 hitter, I mean, you gotta think, he's a really tough guy to get out.
Oh, no
So
doubt. No doubt.
very little. But I guess one of my final questions before we wrap up this interview is I kind of asked this a little bit earlier, but relating to Major League, any superstitions, pregame rituals, pregame songs you'd listen to that you stuck to throughout the seasons in your Major League career?
You know, I once I got to the big league level, I had a pretty solid routine. But again, nothing that was like crazy superstitious. It's not like I didn't put on like my left sock before my right sock. It wasn't
Um,
anything crazy like that. One funny story I do have is I know that my rookie year, that 2014 season with the Mariners,
mm,
there was a point earlier on in the season where we always listen to music in the clubhouse and things like that. But I don't, for some reason, and I have to give credit, I think, to Joe Beimel, who was a fellow reliever of mine. We all of a sudden established our team song, and our bullpen song was Someone Like You by Adele. And so before every game, you'd find us all in the clubhouse, and it would be blaring over the speakers, and guys would be singing their hearts out, and um, it was pretty funny. I don't just a random song, like obviously doesn't, it's not your typical hype song, and
Yeah.
and get the guys fired up, but for us it did, and it worked. Like I said, we had a really really good year that year. Um, just one of the funnier kind of pregame, superstitions we have.
Trust me, that I'm very, very familiar with that song. It's a great,
It's a
great,
classic.
fantastic
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said I didn't have it on my like songs on my playlist somewhere
Oh,
in my
for sure I do.
iTunes and
Yeah.
all that. But I mean a specific song for us here at like Dinger Dudes, and we also do a show at our college for sports radio. We listen to "I Want It That Way" by the Backstreet Boys before every single show
Nice. There
or
you
every
go.
single meeting we have. So
Yeah.
trust me, we understand about miscellaneous songs and songs you wouldn't really think are hype songs, but just stick to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess my final question before we wrap up this interview, what advice would you give to young pitchers trying to make it to the big leagues or just go pro in general?
Man, that's a good question. And luckily, like what I've been doing since I've gotten out of playing and transitioning to retired life is I'm starting to work and train guys. So there's a sports facility down here in Charleston, South Carolina, called E3 Sports Performance, and so I'm kind of working with those kids. It's youth, it's high school, and um, you know, basically the biggest thing that I do is I'm trying to share my experiences and just teach these guys really what it's like. There's always the vision, there's the goal, there's the dream of what the big leagues is like and what it is to make it. But there's really a lot of tough sledding ahead. When you do get to experience that stuff, and my biggest piece of advice is obviously just number one, always have fun. Always make sure that you still love the game that you're playing, and love love the game on the field. But more importantly is, really, really stress on the amount of attention you put into the work that's not seen. The more that you do, that people don't see. It's not on Instagram, it's not on social media, it's not on the field when you play. All the hard work in the gym and on the mental side of things, focusing on your mental approach, and all of that stuff is going to carry you far. Your physical talent will get you there, but the grind behind the scenes is what really carries you through a long career. And so I just would, I tell all the guys now, it starts with the foundation, it starts with the work that we do from day one. But um, really that stuff, I know it's not flashy, it's not sexy, but
Hmm.
at the end of the day, when you look up and you have a really long career, that's one of the main reasons why.
That's some fantastic advice to hear, and it sounds like they have a great coach over there at E3. And honestly, yeah, there's a lot of different adjustments and approaches you have to make when it comes to making pro ball or just playing baseball behind the scenes that a lot of people just don't seem to realize or pay
Yeah.
attention to. But that's some great advice to hear. But before we wrap up this interview, is there anywhere that you would like to shout out? Any plugins you'd like me to put in that you'd like the viewers to listen to or pay attention
Um,
to?
yeah, like I said, go. Obviously, this is more a local thing, but obviously in the Charleston area, I'm working at E3 Sports Performance. I'm doing all their full time pitching stuff. I'm doing their analytic stuff, just kind of bringing the high level stuff to kids in the area. And then obviously with youth, it's about training the foundation. It's about building things back up, and so that'd be my only little shameless plug. If you're in the Charleston area, Mount Pleasant area, give us a look and come by. We'd love to work with you.
So if you are in the Charleston area, make sure to go check that out. But Mr. Leone, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me on this interview. This interview will be out around, I believe, I'll post around like 7:30 p.m. on YouTube. It will be posted as a live video. So
Cool.
thank you so much for taking time to join this interview, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Awesome, man. Hey, no problem. I appreciate you having me on.